4th down, the final play, unless they can stick it in the end zone.
Here we go.
Under pressure, throws it. Incomplete. The Buckeyes win. Ezekiel Elliott, and he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
Feature the two backs as receivers, and now a downfield shot on first down for the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State strikes first.
Making adjustments again, and there is Smith running free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly from 45 yards.
Pressure comes. Shaw, knocked it out, and picks it up. Jack Shaw, coming down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score. And dagger from 82 yards.
Here they come. Heavy pressure, Howard delivers downfield, and Smith, he's got it! Jeremiah Smith.
2025 college football national champion Coach Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Welcome in, Buckeye Backers. We are bringing it to you live from Seattle, Washington, to the cornfields of Enid, Ohio. We are the pulse of Buckeye fans across the nation, with Seattle Matt and Buckeye Steve. Welcome in to another early morning show, the morning after another Buckeye win. This one did not go without a little bit of concern, right, Seattle?
A little bit, but I think you have to give a lot of respect to that Ohio team. They're gritty, they're tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played Ohio State really well in that first half, and it could have been even worse if Navarro wasn't knocked out early. So I think Ohio State showed their resiliency here.
For sure. Hey, you get the win, and you turned it on, like I mentioned last night, you turned it on at the right time. Really, if you let this game go into the fourth quarter, that's where I get really concerned with a team like Ohio. You let them stick around, and then all of a sudden, momentum. It is a emotional game. We've talked about this before. Football is a very emotional game. I thought the red zone was concerning to me. Like, we'll start there. I know you want to get into the defense. You're a defensive-minded dude, but there was a lot of missed blocks. And on that first drive when they went into the red zone and they didn't score, if you go back and look at it, you'll see they had a bunch receiver set up close, not very wide out, just right off the line. And two of the receivers missed, absolutely whiffed on blocks. Absolutely whiffed, ran right past their dude. Now, Brandon Ennis's was a lot worse than I think it was Carnell Tate that was on the inside. He ran past the dude and went to the second or third, almost third level to block a dude instead of the guy he ran right past who made the tackle. Ennis's guy ran right around him. It was like almost he didn't put hands on him at all. It was an absolute whiff. And in my day, we would start singing in film room, ole, 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 because you missed that block and you were just trying to dodge them like a bull, man.
Yeah, that was part of it. I really found what was concerning in the red zone was the indecisiveness from Sam. Mm-hmm. And again, I texted you this, and maybe it's theory, maybe it's fact. Mm-hmm. I think that interception against Grambling messed with them. I do. I think when you saw the first few drives, the first three drives that went into the red zone and you went, turnover on downs, field goal, there were times, the running game wasn't getting you a ton, but that's pretty common down in the red zone. You're really only going to get 2 or 3 yards here or there. I found several times in those first three drives, he was not making the right read. He was not hitting the wide open receiver. I don't know if the wide open receiver was in the progression. It wasn't your number one target, but I felt that he was not forcing the ball where it needed to go. And maybe force isn't the right word. He wasn't reading the field, reading the coverage right, and finding that open receiver, even if it wasn't your first progression.
Well, I guess when you make that first mistake, you might start second guessing yourself a little bit more because he wasn't making mistakes before. So now it's in his mind, all right, I can't make that mistake. I can't make that mistake. I can't make that mistake. So, maybe instead of just going out and playing the game like he was before, he's thinking a little bit more, taking a little bit more time and making sure he's making the right read, which makes him not act instinctually. This is all split second, people. So you don't have the time to really like process it. It has to be second nature.
That's the problem where we want our quarterbacks to be cerebral in the process of everything while simultaneously not thinking at all. It's the classic oxymoron. So when you're looking at, and I guess I lost Buckeye Steve here, so I'm kind of going to run with it. I was really alarmed by it. I'll be honest with you. I want to see that quarterback have that confidence, especially in a game against Ohio, which, again, was good talent, good competition. But I really thought he missed a lot of open receivers, especially in the red zone. And I'm going to tell you right now, those are going to come back and bite us when we're playing in the Big Ten Conference, which by now we are in the Big Ten Conference. And so the running game, again, in the red zone is not something they're going to be able to lean on quite a bit. I don't know what happened to you, buddy. I'm
back for more. I just wanted to see how you did on your own. I wanted to give you a little spotlight. You're so damn good.
A little bit of a struggle. Again, you got me talking red zone offense, not my speciality. But just again, I think in a game like Ohio, that's the kind of game where if you're Coach Day, you say, okay, go out and wing it a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And it's okay. And that's where maybe that Grambling pick got in his head. It was his only incompletion, right? It's a game where we talked about when you're coaching, you want to be able to critique in a game like Grambling, right? Hold to another standard, a different standard. And maybe, just maybe, it stuck with him a little too much.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of pressure on a first-year quarterback if you're not making good blocks to start it out. Yeah, you're putting them behind the 8 ball in the red zone. It was more than just wide receivers not making their blocks. And to me, if you're going to have that bunch formation, you need to have – they don't have the identity in the red zone yet, okay, because their whole offensive philosophy has been everyone else is just giving up, bailing out on the deep ball, not letting us get our wide receivers in space. So we're going to take these curls, we're going to take these deep outs, and we're going to take whatever the defense gives us. Well, when you get in the red zone, there's nowhere for the defense to bail out. So you need to have alternative plays, and you need to have your red zone identity, which is one of the reasons why I really liked Lincoln Keenholz getting in there and making that run, because I think that's going to be a big part of their red zone offense in the future. Also, the fact that Bo Jackson knows how to run the football, and he knows how to run the football better than anyone else on the team. That is going to be a big part of the red zone offense going into the future too. And I don't know if they're just trying to string him along or they're just noticing, hey, this is the dude. Because sometimes you realize that. Sometimes you're stringing it along because it's a young guy and he's not ready yet. There might be some things that he still needs to work on. We're going to see. Yeah, Billy Tuesday, I absolutely love that. Saying's third game, he's still learning. He had a come-down-to-earth game is what I called it last night. All right, he was on fire, absolutely on fire, doing all the right things, had that one interception. Maybe it got into his head. He had 2 today. Those tip balls, or 2 yesterday. Those 2 tip balls, or that one tip ball that was an interception, that one he's going to have. I mean, that just happens sometimes. We knew that was going to happen with him in particular because he's a 6'2" quarterback, maybe 6'1". So that's going to happen. The one that he threw up while he was getting sacked, that's a learning experience. Can't ever happen again. Like that's an actual garbage play. Can't do that. Not as an Ohio State quarterback. Our red zone offense looked a lot like the red zone offense of 2022, 2023, where we struggled to score. And that should be what they work on for the next 2 weeks. They got to fix that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is 100% right on, Troy. Troy, thank you for joining us. And Billy Tuesday, I know Billy Tuesday was in here last year, so thanks for coming back, my man. Join us in the locker room. We'd love to get you on. We love your opinion because you know what? What I've noticed is half the time fans' opinion is right there. I mean, especially with Buckeye Nation, they're right on. And coaches a lot of times are too, ingrained in their own DNA to be like, I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it because I know right and it's always going to work. Sometimes I think they need a little bit of that, fan base to be like, hey, I got an outside approach. I'm seeing what I see, and that's it. I'm not seeing what you see on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm seeing what I see on Saturday when the lights are on. This is what we need to do. They need an identity in the red zone, right? So what's that going to be? You're not going to rely on those deep curls. You're not going to rely on those deep outs, that intermediate passing game because the DBs are just backing off. There's nowhere for them to back off to anymore. Where are the crossing routes? Right? And if not, you're just going to have to get big. You're going to have to bring in those 4 tight ends like they did last week and pound them. Your identity is going to be we're going to ground and pound you, and we're going to get those yards when we want it, whenever we need it.
Yeah, there's a lot to parse out with that. I think we've seen early on them try to isolate one-on-one, whether it's a fade or we've seen a couple times that Twins wide receiver set and they're doing crosses, right? You saw that on the Tate incompletion.
Yes, that was a good play. That was an absolutely great play.
Same with Jeremiah. They ran a fade in the end zone. Guess what? Tip your cap to the defensive back. He made a great play, an absolutely great play. Same on Tate as well, too. That's the point here is those one-on-one matchups are really hard to execute. I don't care if you have Smith or Tate. You saw Ohio's DBs make outstanding plays to break them up, clean breakups. So those are where it gets a little bit challenging. To your point, you're looking at a situation where you're having all these different routes and concepts. When you start isolating that one-on-one, you're really putting the entire onus on one person making that play, or really two, saying in the wide receiver out in coverage. Those are really tough plays to execute, and I don't really care for those. Again, you can just say we'll throw it up to 4. They did. DB made a great play, broke it up, you kicked the field goal. So that's not the solution to the question. And again, ground and pound sounds great in theory. Ohio stopped you. Lots of teams are going to stop you in the red zone. They all have big bodies too. That's not as easy as it sounds to just say we're going to move a bunch of 300-pound guys and get into the end zone. That's not a knock against the offensive line at Ohio State at all. You've got to get a little bit more creative. And I'll tell you, this gets even more challenging when you have a pocket quarterback. And if you start saying, well, I'm going to go Kindholds packages in the red zone, now you're dealing with a whole other psychological component, basically saying, Julian, get us to the 20, and then you can't get us in. We're going to bring in somebody else. So I don't like that concept. I know it works for Urban Meyer in 2007, but I want to hit on real fast with the 2023 comment by Billy Tuesday. It was a good comment.
That was by Troy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Troy. I apologize. Here's where I think the growth and maturation of Coach Day came into play, because in 2023, he was stubborn. It was, no, we're going to go for it on 4th and goal. And they were going first halves where they were not accumulating a lot of points. And it was really putting a lot of stress and pressure on the team. What I loved about Day is saying, listen, get some points on the board. We're going to make Ohio score. We're going to make Ohio beat us. And then eventually when it got 6-0, it went to 13-0. And then, it got a little bit close. But those field goals help give you some breathing room. And I thought that was really important to say, no, we're not going to be arrogant. We're not going to think we're going to go for it on every 4th down, get some points on the board. We'll win the long game.
I think that's a product of having a stellar defense more than anything. I don't think it was Day learning anything. I think he had no trust in his defense in 2022, 2023. Look at the defense right now. You trust them to get a stop. They are the heart and soul of this team right now. They are what's keeping us in every single game and what's making the offense look better, because that defense has given up nothing, absolutely nothing.
That's why I wanted to start with them, man. I didn't even want to start offense. I think the storyline of this game and the storyline of really the whole season year to date has been this defense. It's absolutely unreal. I mean, that touchdown, throw it in the trash.
The fluke.
Right? I mean, Lorenzo, the big thing would be just get your head turned around. He put his hands up because he's thinking the ball's coming over top. Well, Bowman or Navarro throws it, to the side. So it was a fluky play. He threw his hands up where he thought he was. If he got his head turned around, that's an incomplete pass, some bad tackling. Throw that touchdown away. I mean, short of that, you've given up 16 points in 3 games. That's fantastic. So it is completely on this defense right now. I think they are ahead of the offense, which again is a testament to the D, because the offense really did start clicking there. And I know we're going to get back to them at some point, so we'll hit on the positives of saying. But the defense, I want to get your perspective on. What are you seeing? What do you like about it?
I mean, it's just the pre-snap alignment and changing out of that. Like, you even had the commentator say, it looked like man to man, and then all of a sudden they rotate all the way across the field and end up in a Tampa 2. I don't think Parker Navarro was especially good at reading defenses to start with. He's that RPO. He's creating mismatches. He's more of a mesh point. What am I going to do, quarterback? Am I keeping it? Am I throwing it? What's going to happen here? I think he's creating mismatches by his style of offense, and I don't think he's a really good reader in the pocket. And that exceptionally well done defense and setup by Matt Patricia and Caleb Downs and the rest of them, because they call Caleb Downs Coach Downs too, because he knows everything about this defense, and he lines other people up in the right place. So, I mean, you're going to confuse a quarterback that's already not good at reading defenses from the start, but they're confusing someone like Manning, who should be good at reading defenses with his, how he grew up.
Well, Manning's a whole other story for a whole other podcast, but I mean, the kid got booed at home in the first quarter yesterday, so we'll leave that there. When you're watching this team, I'll tell you right now, if it's 3rd and 8 or longer, I don't think that team's converting a first down because of the concept that they're running. So you go back and you watch the film, you're seeing, especially on 3rd down, but you're seeing it quite a bit on 2nd down as well too, where you're seeing 4, sometimes 5 DBs lining up at that first down marker. And what they're doing is especially in the slot, you're seeing that deep defensive back lining up over them. But they're 8 to 10 yards. They're right at the first down marker. They're not up close. On the outside, you're seeing a little bit more tight coverage. But what you're seeing is completely different concepts where you don't know if they're playing cover 4, cover 3, cover 2. Right. They're disguising it. You don't know if they're playing man. You don't know. And I've seen this a couple of times. I found it really surprising where you've actually seen either Reese or Sonny Styles from the linebacker position dropping back into the middle portion of a cover 3, and you're actually seeing those DBs coming up and playing zone, but they're playing those hooks, they're playing those in routes. So you're not just seeing 3 DBs lining up, backing up and playing a basic cover 3. You're seeing 4 to 5 defensive backs, and you have no idea what coverage you're playing. So they're really confusing them. And then especially when you're seeing even a 3-man front, they talked about this again, you're seeing the linebackers coming, you're seeing safeties, you're seeing corners creating that coverage, and then they're dropping back. And again, they're either playing man or zone. So it's not just a zone blitz. It's actually it can be a man blitz, but you're seeing different areas of the defense rushing that quarterback. So I think Matt Patricia has done an amazing job of not making it too complicated, but making it really complicated on the quarterback pre-snap.
Absolutely. You talked about the linebackers being able to drop back. Again, it's the product of who you have there. You have an Arvell Reese, you have a Sonny Styles, and you have a Peyton Pierce that are exceptionally athletic, but they're also big enough to get forward and fast enough to get forward and good enough to cover at the same time as they can play the run. So they can get up, and you also have the DBs that you can bring up. You saw Jalen McClain, the hit he can put on someone, and that was a tight end, right? Just absolutely demolished him. So he's not afraid to get his nose in there and get nasty when he has to. Obviously, Downs has done that, throughout his career at Ohio State and also at Bama. So these guys can come up and stop the run too. You don't have to be worried that your linebackers are back there out of the play on a run, because those DBs can make those hits too.
So that's always that was the concern last year, and it was the concern, and it is again going to be the concern this year. Is This defense works exceptionally well against the pass, and especially well when it's 3rd and long. I think they're getting off the field every time on 3rd and 8 or longer because of the way this defense plays. Where my concern comes in is defending the run. Again, you and I both thought Texas abandoned it pretty early on, and I think Texas should have ran more. This defense, again, looks good when it's 2nd and 10 and you're playing Ohio, you're playing Grambling. What I want to see is if this defense can hold up consistently against the run.
Well, you're going to know soon with Jonah Coleman because they're going to run the damn ball. When you get out to Seattle, that's what the Huskies are going to do. They're going to get their main man the ball. So we'll know that soon enough.
And a scrambling quarterback, which has always been a struggle for Ohio State. So you're going to see.
Well, they kept their lanes last night.
Yeah.
And they kept it really well because that is probably – he's one of the best scrambling quarterbacks in the nation.
He's shifty. He's shifty.
Yeah, he's slippery. That's what they said. When we were interviewing Sonny Styles, I was there. I guess you weren't. But media was interviewing him inside the Woody Hayes. We asked him about Parker, and he talked about it. And one of the other reporters, I can't even remember who it was, brought up that Parker Navarro was slippery. And Sonny agreed. Yeah, he's slippery. He gets out of tackles, and he said we got to maintain our lanes. And that's really what this defense did. They did an exceptional job maintaining their lanes. There was nowhere for them to go. They kept contained the whole time. This is a well-coached defense, and they have the personnel to do whatever that they need to do, and they're doing it. They're doing it well. Great job. O-H, Doug, I-O, man. I-O, brother.
Well, couple things with that. I don't know.
Detroit,
I don't know what Navarro's health status was, right? I mean, I remember after that touchdown, they showed him on the side. He had a gaping wound on his left hand to the point where I'm like, you don't have any bandage or anything on that? That looked real nasty. So I can't speak to where he was from a health standpoint there. But I thought Chris Sims made a great comment about this, and it's something, if you follow the NFL, was always true. New England and Belichick always struggled against scrambling quarterbacks. They always struggled against it. It was Belichick's Achilles heel, even in New England. And again, you don't see a ton of scrambling quarterbacks in the NFL like you do in college football, but it was always something that has hampered Ohio State in the past. And it's something that Patricia has struggled with. And again, just coming from his pedigree with New England, they struggled with it there. So this is where Damon Williams with Washington, real curious to see how they defend him because he's slippery too. He can run the ball and they play off that quite a bit. So really good test here in a couple of weeks.
Sage, Ohio. It is a great day to be a Buckeye. You know what? It's always great to be a Buckeye, and especially this year. There is something different about this team. Something absolutely different. If they can keep gelling together, they said it best in the broadcast last night. What did we have? 572 yards total, somewhere around there. And this team is not clicking on all cylinders yet. When they start clicking on all cylinders on offense, when that offense catches up with the defense, watch out. This team is going to light the world on fire. Watch out. I mean, they have to, control their mistakes and get better in the red zone, but I'm willing to bet that they do.
Yeah, we started out a little cold on Sayin, right, talking about the inefficiency in the red zone. I think the one piece of Sayin's game that blossomed yesterday was the deep ball. If you look back at the first few games, and even early on, even that pass down to Smith, right? And I can't remember if it was the first drive or the second drive. Smith had his guy beat by 2 yards. If Sayin threw that ball deep, that's an easy touchdown.
One where he caught it over his head like that.
Yeah, but he had his guy beat by 2 yards. He had to slow down significantly to catch it. I made the tackle. That's what led to that. So right away, I'm thinking, okay, I haven't seen you execute the deep ball. Even Tate's pass against Texas, right? Great play, but Tate had to come back on it. We hadn't seen him execute that. He had two absolute dimes in this game where he just dropped it in a bucket from 40 yards deep. So now you're saying, okay, this kid can hit the deep ball. that is going to really stretch the defense, because if a quarterback can't hit the deep ball, you're not worried about getting burned because the guy can beat you by 3 yards. He's got to come back 5 yards to make the play. So that is a wrinkle or an element that is going to continue to expand the offense. That's a really big positive.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because I remember watching it. It was like, yeah, he had two. You get that ball floated in front, that's the touchdown right there. And that was the 42-yard pass. It was the second touch by Jeremiah Smith of the game. So he had that first deep out about 10 yards, maybe 12 yards. And then he had that 42-yard bomb. And he had to stop, come back, and catch it in the air, and just made a beautiful catch. And some of that is just Saints training. Get the ball up. Just get the ball up. Our receivers are going to go make it. Now, will they work on, more of a touch pass to him? Yeah, I think so. Later on,
I'm not worried about the touch pass. Yeah, what I'm worried about is when you're running that 45-yard route, and can you hit the receiver in stride? That is a really difficult thing to do. And I'll tell you what, even NFL quarterbacks struggle with that, because trying to hit a guy in stride at 45 yards takes a lot of talent. And what I was really encouraged by was the Tate touchdown.
Sure.
Going into the north end zone there. Sorry, got to think of my geography. Going in that north end zone there, he dropped a dime in there. So the Smith one was good, but the Tate one was executed perfectly. And you start putting that on film, now the DBs are really going to get scared, because not only can the talent burn them, but the quarterback can burn them. And
Brian, I mean, it's obvious. I think everyone in Buckeye Nation knows that Bo Jackson is running back one. It's a different level. I've talked about this since spring. Like, I went back and reposted. I was like, man, Bo Jackson's fun to watch. I feel like I've said that before. This was back in April. And he's still fun to watch, man. He is still fun to watch. And when I said that back in April, I was meaning, the original Bo Jackson, because he runs like it, dude. He is that electric. He changes the complete complexion of the offensive line. He makes the offensive line look better. He makes the wide receivers look better. Because of how he's hitting the hole so fast, it's one cut, gone. If I need power, I bring power. If I need a cut, I bring a cut. But it's the initial burst hitting the hole. And I have a video. I don't know if I should play it now or not, but I have a video of C.J. Donaldson just not making it to the hole, and that's what ruined the red zone. I mean, when you're not getting that cut, following the butts. I mean, I'm teaching my flag football little second graders, first graders, and kindergartners. You got to follow the blocks, man. Follow the butts. Get in between the butts, and you're gone, right? Just go. You have to be able to follow where the hole is, and some of these guys aren't following the hole. Some guys aren't making the block. But what happens when you have a guy like Bo Jackson in there, even if you don't make the block, he's going to make it for you, because he's hitting that crease so fast. If you get there for a split second, he's got you. He knows where to go with the ball right away.
Well, go back and watch that 64-yard run and really watch it. First off, it was a run up the middle. No joke. It was up the middle, gap, straight forward run.
This much room.
Yeah, but look at when he gets 5 yards downfield.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 guys touching him.
Yep.
There are 3 guys.
He's not going down.
So not only does he have the speed to hit the hole, but he's getting contact and breaking off that contact. And after he went through that 5-yard gauntlet of 3 guys trying to take him down and couldn't, he had another guy contact him, broke that. So this wasn't like a gaping hole opened up by the offense and the guy ran for 64 yards. Most running backs, 99% of running backs, that's a 5-yard gain, that run. He made it a 64-yard run because of his talent. That is that next level difference that you're seeing out of Bo Jackson. Brian Schutz, I got to say, you're right. I even texted that literally to Steve after a run. I said, this kid is special. And you saw it.
I said it before.
I know. I caught up late, but I texted that to you after our run. I just said
No. I mean, I said it in – what game was that? Well, he's just different. I said it even before a game. When going to see their practices, you can see something's different about Bo Jackson. something's different. And I think the coaches know it. I think they're just trying to bring him along to the point where they know they can trust him. I think that's it. He's reaching that level. Grambling, he started to reach it. He really reached it yesterday. They gave him his shot, and guess what he did? Look what he did with it. Look what he did with it. I mean, what more do you need? What more do you need to be like he's running back number one? The fans know it. The opposing teams know it. I think the team knows it. You look at Jeremiah Smith when he ran that 62-yard run. Was it 62, 64? 64 it was.
64.
After that 64-yard run by Bo Jackson, go back and look at those pictures. You see Jeremiah Smith flexing. Yeah, dude. He's proud of him, man. He loves it. He knows he should be the starter. Like deep down in his mind, he knows he's RB1, right? Those other guys got to get in there. Yeah, I think Peoples will probably transfer. You're probably right. And it sucks because he's a great running back. If he can get going, if he doesn't get, a shoestring tackle, he's taking it to the house a lot of times because he has some speed and he flashes that speed. And some of it's just establishing a rhythm too. If you have too many running backs, you're not going to get a whole lot of chances to show what you got.
You're not. And I think the excitement from the sideline in the players is players know when it's an effort play. And that's, again, most running backs, that's a 5-yard run. Nobody cares. That was a 64-yard run because of the talent of Bo Jackson. That 59 yards was the difference in talent. And so I think players see that, they recognize it, and that gets them excited because they say, listen, we now have a playmaker in the backfield who can take a 5-yard run and make it a 64-yard run. That fundamentally changes your philosophy on offense.
And what happens to us as wide receivers if we're blocking down? He gets a touchdown. He opens up lanes for us. All these DBs that are playing back, guess what? They're going to have to start creeping forward if Bo's taking it 64 yards. And that was you're right about that. I want to make one good point and piggyback on it. That was a 5 to 8 yard play. The rest was him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was blocked for 5 to 8 yards. And maybe even if you don't hit the hole as fast as he did and as well as he did, 2 yards. Because that closed, I'm sure that would have closed up if he didn't hit it like he did. And
you're right.
Absolutely true. He makes himself skinny to get through the creases and he hits it quick.
Remind me of Travion. I'll be honest with you. It really did. But what you're missing.
He reminds me of Zeke.
Yeah, that's true.
He reminds me a lot of Zeke.
The underlying value of
Zeke's probably a little bit faster, top end speed. Maybe. But he's also a freshman, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But the underlying value of that kind of running and that run is we're talking about Sand throwing the deep ball to Smith and Tate in the second half. Look at both those throws. You know what they came off of? Play action. So when you can establish the run and run that way you do, Ryan Day loves that play action because now you're forcing those safeties up. Because they say, well, okay, we cannot keep getting gashed for 10, 12 yards every run. I got to come up. You're bringing the safeties up. You're putting one-on-one coverage. I'll take that against any DB in the country with Tate or Smith. So establishing the run is going to open the passing game up.
And we got to hit on some of these comments because the locker room is absolutely on fire. Keep it coming.
Great comments.
Every single person in the locker room right now is bringing it.
Yeah, we'll do a few. Yeah,
Bo just looks different. He sees the holes. He has the burst. Looking forward to watching this kid for another 3 years. Yeah, can you believe that? We get the rest of this year and at least 2 more.
I was going to say, I would say at
least 2 more.
Maybe 2 more years, man.
He is an Ohio boy, so, maybe that makes a difference.
Bill Angela, right?
But with the way he's playing right now, he's gone after 3 years. And Doug Shepard, member of the locker room, official member of the locker room, for all his comments, for all his repeated stops here. I wasn't watching Peoples last season because having Trey and Q, he is a serviceable back, but he hasn't played to the standard yet. Absolutely right. He hasn't played to the standard.
I want to pump the brakes a little bit with Peoples. First off,
okay.
I'm not a fan of CJ. I'm not a fan of CJ Donaldson at all. You want a short yardage back, a 3rd and 2 guy, so be it. But you've seen Donaldson play a lot of snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not at practices like you. I'm not at the Woody. I don't know if people was earning those, but I would like to see Peoples get a little bit more touches. Now, the guy's not a bum by any stretch. I mean, he had 7 carries, 47 yards. He's averaging 6.2 yards a carry. He ran well. He ran fine. Do I think he has that next level? No. But I'm also not seeing him get the reps. And quite honestly, I don't want to see those reps go to C.J. Donaldson. Nice running back, but he doesn't give me anything unique or special. So I'm a little curious why we're seeing Donaldson getting more touches than Peoples. And again, this may go back to what's going on in practice that we're not aware of. And Billy Tuesday hit on him. We're on the same page. He's still running the ball well. I don't want to bash him.
Yeah. And he has that flash. He has the speed. He has that one cut and go.
He does.
Sometimes it's just a matter of getting in a rhythm, and you're probably going to see him take it to the house against someone big. Once Penn State comes, or maybe in 2 weeks in Washington when we really need a run, Peoples is going to bring it because he's just that type of dude. He knows ball. He's fast. You're right. He hasn't shown that second level yet, but I think it's in him. And maybe I think you're onto something because I see CJ missing a lot of holes. Like he does not read where the blocks are. Again, I have a video of it. I might as well throw it up soon since we're talking about running backs. Let's get into a little bit more of the comments. Yes, Sage, Ohio, she says, or he or she, I don't know, says Zeke to me is who he looks like for sure. And Troy's like, yeah, dude, I rounded up 2.75 years.
I like it. But let's go back to carries for Peoples. Texas, 10 carries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Grambling, 8 carries. Ohio, 7 carries. You're not going to get into a rhythm as a running back when you're getting 10 or less carries in a game. And in fact, Donaldson started against Texas, right? I can't recall off
he did
with Grambling. Well, he started against Texas. I don't know about
I think
Grambling.
people started against Grambling.
Possibly. But again, I think it's really difficult to get in a rhythm when you're not getting that many carries. And as a running back at Ohio State, you're not for 2 reasons. 1, you're always going to have 2 or 3 running backs that like to diversify the carries. And 2, you have ridiculous weapons at wide receiver and tight end. So you're not going to get a ton. But this is where I really want to see going up against Washington. Who's that starting running back? Are you splitting carries between Peoples and Donaldson? Or are you letting Peoples get lathered up a little bit?
Yeah. Just give me more Bo. That's all I ask for. Give me more Bo. I don't care what the rest of the distribution is. Just give me more Bo. He's fun to watch. He's earned it. If you show up on the field, you earn the playing time the rest of the season. All right. If something changes along the way and Peoples starts to become dynamite and hit those bursts and show us what he's got on the field in a meaningful game, good. Give him some more reps. That's how you earn it.
Peoples hasn't done anything to lose it.
Correct.
Game. So this is where I have to look again to you all and say what's going on in practice, because Donaldson's been very average.
You know what we haven't seen in practice? We haven't seen the running backs get taken to the ground much, hardly at all. That was really that's not something that we're going to see because it was just shells and shoulder pads, and we weren't really seeing full go except for that one time in the spring appreciation. And it was hard to tell then too because they weren't doing a lot of running plays, to be honest with you. They were passing mostly.
Yeah, that's tough in practice, especially in shells.
So nothing that any of the beat reporters or reporters that are there can tell you, because there's not really much to see unless, they have some inside information from other players or former players telling them what's going on. Honestly, I'm going to go with what I see on the field, and Bo Jackson needs reps.
But again, you look at Texas and you look at Ohio. CJ Donaldson led the team in carries in those two games. I got to throw out Grambling because there were so many players that played. It's a little tough to see. But clearly, there's something.
Let me show you this.
Sees.
I don't know how the video is going to play because I made it real quick this morning, but I want to show you just this red zone possession. Some of the things that went wrong.
need the arrows. It was just a whole lot of wrong there.
Let me get the comment off real quick, and then it'll pop up.
Doug, I like it, though. He does fall forward, and that's critical for a running back.
But Bo Jackson 100% of the time falls forward, too. So
watching the play, it's to your point. There's several missed blocks. I don't put that on Donaldson. He's running right into a wall of Bobcats. Yeah, and then that was the fourth down scramble where he couldn't get away.
They absolutely missed it. Yeah,
he did have a couple people open. But
what I wanted to point out with that, and I'm gonna have to slow it down and make it a little bit better before I release it, is there was a big hole for Donaldson off to the right. And that's where those arrows were showing on the third play. He missed the cut to follow the hole. There was also a missed block. I think it was Carson Hinsman that missed the block. Got there for a split second. But if that would have been Bo Jackson, he would have hit that hole, and he would have got there in that split second, and he would have scored. The difference between different running backs. You see the hole, and you don't even realize you see the hole. That is what Bo Jackson's doing. Donaldson's just going somewhere in a general place, and he's not following his blockers.
He's a straight liner.
And yeah, that works for like a 3rd and 2. But in a general circumstance, if they're gonna have a hole that's not where it's designed to be, like if it gets shifted to the right, to the left a little bit, he's not the guy that's gonna hit it.
Well, let me ask you this: 4th and goal at the 2. Against a good Big Ten opponent. 4th and goal at the 2. Ohio State goes for it. Who do you want in the back?
I want Bo right now.
I
want Bo.
There's your answer.
Anytime anything's on the line, Bo Jackson.
There's your answer. That's what you want. Again, I don't think any of us would really say on that scenario that you trust C.J. Donaldson there, but I think they see him as that big down back.
And Troy, I think this is a good point. Bo earned it. Bo has proven it. Like, it's not that people's lost it. It's Bo earned it. I mean, there's a difference.
Based on what? This is where if Bo is earning it in practice, and we're not seeing that, so be it. But when you're getting 7 carries in a game for 47 yards, you're doing fine. You're just not getting enough carries. I mean, Bo had more carries. Yes, he broke off a big run, but you take that off, he'd have 8 carries for 35 yards. He'd have a less average than Peoples. And I don't like to do that, right? The stats are complete. Not going to go Dave Wannstedt on people. But the point is he wasn't getting a lot of carries. So we just don't know what we're getting from Peoples. There must be something going on in practice, which is why Donaldson is getting more carries than Peoples, and Bo is being that complimentary back for now, working his way up. It's got to be practice.
Sure. Let's get back up into these saying comments because we kind of got rid of that. First of all, Tegra, yes. Brian, Tegra needs to get it together. They pulled him out and put Onyeama in at one point in the game. Was that third quarter? I think it was third quarter. And then the offense took off. Saying could you maybe run just once? Just once. Saying does have that vibe that quarterbacks have had in the past, I guess, Ohio State quarterbacks in particular, where I'm not running. I'm always eyes downfield. And I don't think we need that this year. When Stroud was there, it was like, yeah, maybe you weren't allowed to run because there was no one behind you. There was no one serviceable behind you. There was like you were quarterback one and you were quarterback everything. You can't get hurt. Right now they have quarterbacks behind saying you can run. It's going to be okay. Even if it's 4 yards and slide, but you just need to know when to slide and when to run.
That's the difference. You don't need Lamar Jackson back there, right? You don't need a quarterback that's going to run for 30 yards or always that threat to run. Mm-hmm. What you need to be able to show the defense, I can escape the pocket. And if you're just going to drop everybody back into coverage, I'm going to go on that 3rd down and 4 and get that 1st down. I don't need 30 yards. I need 5 on 3rd and 4. And that's what we're not seeing develop is he's great in the pocket, But when the pocket starts breaking down, we're not seeing the rollout. We're not seeing the feel of getting out of that pocket. And that is only going to get worse as you start getting into the Big Ten schedule. These teams are going to start playing, hey, we're going to crash the middle. We're going to crash the pocket. We're going to make him move his feet. And we're going to see how he does scrambling. And right now, we haven't seen him execute well in that area.
I think he's done all right. I mean, I would think the Ohio game, it wasn't his best showing as far as scrambling and moving around in the pocket. I do think he needs to run the ball. I'm 100% in agreement with that. But his accuracy, yeah, kind of amazing. What was he yesterday?
As far as 25 of 32.
25 of 32. Still great. Third game as a starting quarterback. 25 of 32.
So 78%.
Yeah.
Which is
I was trying to do it in my head. Yeah.
No. But again, this is where you saw the Texas game, obviously an elite defense, but game one, everyone's still getting worked through. And then you don't take a lot from Grambling in Ohio. What you're going to – and I'll be honest, I don't think Washington has a great defense. It's going to be their offense, and we'll talk about that in a few weeks. But I think as you start looking at Illinois and Wisconsin and start getting down the road here, you are going to be facing better defenses and defenses that are going to scheme, maybe trying to put some pressure on you. And seeing how he adapts to that's going to be important. That's a good point, Billy.
I mean, yeah, that's not going to happen. Maybe he can get 10 more pounds, but I doubt he's going to be growing at all. Yeah, and I don't know if we put this up there. We'll go back to Bo Jackson for a second, but corners do not want to tackle. Do want to tackle a big running back like that. And do you mean except IGB? He wants it.
Igmanosin.
Yeah.
Igmanosin.
I think our corners like to tackle. I wouldn't.
No, I found myself saying that a couple of times during the game. I think Doug's spot on where I'm like, wrap up and tackle. They were hitting,
all right,
but they were not tackling.
Yeah, they're coming and just blowing up fast.
Yeah, you think, oh, I'm just going to hit you and you're going to fall. It was some bad tackling, and even
that's a trend in football.
That was a terrible job. Yeah, you gave up the catch. So what? Tackle the guy. There's no reason that guy should break away. He's a good wide receiver. Sure. He's a really good wide receiver, but you should tackle him. Yep. That should have been a 30-yard gain instead of a touchdown.
For sure. 100% of the time. So anything else? Do we want to get back to defense? Because you really wanted to get on this defense. Was there more you wanted to say?
No, I think the major pros that you're seeing again is the disguising of coverage, and I think that's going to reap benefits long term, where these quarterbacks, even the good ones you're going to start facing soon, are not going to be able to read the defense. The one piece that I do want to hit on with this defense, and I do find it to be a little alarming, lack of turnovers. So I think it's great that you're getting off the field and you're executing, but turnovers, you and I both know, are equalizer. Those change momentum in the game. Go back and watch the Texas playoff game, right? Tells you everything you need to know about turnovers. Yep. You're not seeing them get turnovers. They had one against Texas. That's about it. Maybe they did against Grambling.
They did against Grambling. Downs had that interception against Grambling.
There you go. But you lost a turnover battle against Ohio 2-0. Fluky interceptions. I'm not going to bash saying too much for those. But the point is now I want to start seeing that next evolution of this defense, where we saw it again this week with the evolution in terms of sacks and tackles for losses. You had 4 sacks, 7 TFLs, so that's good. You're seeing that grow and develop. But now as we start getting into the Big Ten schedule, the next iteration I want to start seeing turnovers.
Yeah.
It's
sometimes you just need those. That can be the game winner at the end of the game or on the goal line, or when the defense, when we need it the most, they pull through and grab that and give a spark to the offense if the offense is struggling to get good field position. Even like turnovers are a major part of college football, major part of football in general. Like we said before, it's an emotional game. You get that momentum from a turnover and you take a shot deep. Watch out! You just flipped it. Just flip the script. You
do. And oftentimes, too, you typically don't see a lot of turnovers like deep back in your own territory, right? They do happen, but not very often. By and large, you see those turnovers happen between the 20s. And to your point, if they happen around the 50, you've now given your team a short field. And so that is that next phase I want to start seeing here is the secondary going to be able to go from, okay, we're disguising great, we're covering great. Now let's go attack the football.
Yeah.
And they're even on the turnover. They're 0 on the year. They had 1 against Texas, 1 against Grambling, and then they lost 2-0 against Ohio. So your turnover margin is 0 right now, which again, it's not negative, but they really need to start developing this defense a little bit more. And again, we're seeing that from Texas. Not a lot of TFLs or sacks. Grambling, tough to really read. Now you're seeing that next phase of that with the TFLs and the sacks. Now against Washington, against a second-year quarterback and Damon Williams, they have a really good offense. They're going to try to air it out. They're going to try to run the ball strategically. I want to see at least 2 turnovers in Seattle in a couple weeks.
Let's talk about who else stood out on the defense. Bo Atkinson had a game. Caden Curry had a game. K-Mac had a game. Arvell Reese is having a game every game. I mean, leading the team in tackles on the season, too. It seems like he's leading every single game. He had 7 tackles and a sack and with the tackle for a loss. 3 turnovers versus Grambling.
Was there 3?
I remember the Downs interception. That's the only one I remember right now. I don't know why.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. Petty John had that fumble, scoop, and score. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You can take
dude, how do we forget about that one? That was awesome.
You know what, man? Billy, it's early in the morning. I appreciate you keeping me in check. I apologize. Take that rant. I want to keep parts of that rant, but the inaccuracies of the rant, you can throw those.
Take some away.
Yeah. No, that's why we have a great locker room, man.
We'll give you the mulligan.
I was wrong. I'll own it.
I went with you.
Anyway. You shouldn't have, man. Billy kept us both in check, man. That's why we have a great locker room. But
Isaiah West looked good against Grambling State. Yeah, he did too. But I mean, I think everyone that hit the field looked good against Grambling.
Yeah, I think you hit on Reese, and I'm glad you brought that up too. I think Reese, every time you watch number 8, you're just seeing him all over the field. And again, it's not just run stopping or chasing the quarterback. You're seeing him in coverage. He's a fantastic spy. Spies are critical. We saw that against the Oregon game. The spying was absolutely essential to keep Dylan Gabriel in that pocket, and it slowed a lot of their offense because Gabriel, being a smaller quarterback, wanted to get out of that pocket and roll, and that spying concept was crucial. And now you're seeing Reese fill that spot, and he's doing it exceptionally well. He's a complete linebacker.
For sure. Hey, I love our locker room right now, man. You guys are tearing it up, so appreciate y'all
keeping us honest, man, bringing good stuff. I love it.
We do, and I'll remind you about the locker room. Comments in the locker room are going to earn you merch. We got Buckeye Backers hats coming from Branded Bills. That's a lot of B's all in there. So Branded Bills are probably, one of the best hats that you can get right now. Go ahead and check them out. Branded Bills. If you want them, they're rope hats. It's going to have our Buckeye Backers logo on the front, locker room on the side. You can only earn the locker room hats. You won't be able, those aren't for purchase. You can only earn them through your participation in the locker room. So keep it coming because Billy, I know you were here last year. Doug's he's a locker room member right now. Get it. We'll remove your black stripe, send it out to you, and hopefully have you in the locker room from time to time and for throughout the rest of the season, really.
I want to hit on Doug's comment real fast. This is spot on where the age-old debate of sacks versus is it defensive line, is it blitz scheme, or is it coverage sack? And when you go back, especially watching the second half of that game, a lot of the pressure and a lot of the sacks I again felt were coverage sacks. And you and I kind of debated this on text last night where I'm saying Navarro can't read the coverage. And you're like, well, That's not his style. He's a backyard football player.
Mm-hmm.
However, when that first read is taken away from you, even if
Yep.
you are that kind of gunslinging backyard quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
when that first and second read, or you're seeing man and it turns out to be cover 3 zone, you're patting that ball, you're looking to run, you're looking to create options. And as a result of that, you're giving that line time, that front 6, to get that sack, to get that TFL. So I do think it is coverage. I think to Doug's point, it is coverage, and it is the disguising of coverage that is leading to these sacks, not so much just a straight up talent of the D-line like last year.
They were getting in there pretty damn quick. I mean, you have to go back and count how many seconds it was, but they were in their lanes.
The 3-step drop. You're going 3-step drop, instant read. I saw man, so I want to hit that slant.
Yep.
Now it's cover 3. Oh my goodness, the linebacker's dropping. That's not available. Now I turn from a 1.5 second to 2 second, get the ball out, to I got to hold the football now, getting that line coverage.
That's actually a really good point, because he is kind of a one-read quarterback. I'm going to sit back there and I'm going to make something afterwards. That's what he relied on. And that first read was typically never there. And then he tried to take off, and our defensive line was right there. So, yeah, in a sense, you're right. The coverage sacks are what's bringing it.
But you heard Chris Sims talk about this too,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of jokey, but it made a lot of sense, where he's like, I wouldn't play man the rest of the game. And I kept saying, amen. I wouldn't be playing man at all, because every time he was playing man, you were seeing that slant open. You were seeing that out open. He was reading that man-to-man coverage pretty quickly, and he was just hitting. It was a one read, hit the open guy. And slants and outs are really tough to cover in man-to-man.
And that's
usually going to give him up. But every time they went to zone, he had no idea where to throw the football, and that's where you were seeing that pressure.
Well, that's the kind of quarterback he was. That's why I say he was kind of a backyard, like mesh quarterback, RPO, because he wants that single read. And he's used to that. That's like in his mindset. All right, I'm reading the defensive line. Am I going to hand it, or I'm going to take it? Am I going to hand it, or I'm going to take it? Same thing with throwing. All right. Am I going to throw this, or am I going to take it?
But even in that RPO, you have to read that defense quickly.
Correct.
It is, if I see man-to-man coverage and it's either handoff or slant, I see man-to-man and everyone's coming in, I'm throwing the slant. If I see zone, I'm probably handing off. So there is a lot of reading from the quarterback there as well too.
But it's a quick. You're not processing the field. You're doing that quick one read and I'm done.
Yeah, but this is again where if I show you a basic cover 2, man-to-man cover 2, and I'm a really good quarterback, and you're going to face a lot of really good quarterbacks coming up, I know where my 3, 4, 5 wideouts are going to be. And I know where I'm going to expose that man-to-man, or a cover 3 that I show you right up front. I can see that. I know where that progression is going to be. Even if it's my number 3 guy, normally they're showing man, it turns out to be cover 3. I know exactly where to go with the ball. When you're disguising it and you get that snap and you have no idea, and it's taking you 1 second to process whether it's man or zone, that's that difference between the defensive line getting to the quarterback and not. So this is, again, a testament to Matt Patricia getting the guys to show something, convert to something else, having linebackers dropping into that deep safety position, having safeties come up, looking like you're playing zone but playing man, vice versa. These kind of chess matches is really that iteration of Patricia's defense I didn't think he'd be able to pull off.
And was it Sims that said something about having the 5 down linemen? They were expecting some of them to drop back. And then today they didn't, or yesterday they didn't. They actually came after him a few times with all those guys on the line. He's just, once you start reading something that he's going to do, that's when you can change it up and be like, oh, boom, here we go. Yeah. Because the first 2 games of the season, that was kind of the MO. Is like you have all these guys on the line, then you back them off right at the snap. Now you can bring that blitz out of it because everyone's reading that. Whatever you have on film, time to change it.
Absolutely, because again, with a quarterback, if you're seeing 6 guys up at the line, but then every time they're dropping 2 or 3 of them even back, my first instinct would be get out of the pocket. Because if they're going to drop 7, 8 deep, I'm going to get out of the pocket, create either with my legs or create a throwing lane based off the scrambling concept there. That's not something where you sit back in the pocket and try to pick apart 7-8 defenders that have dropped. So that's that thing. So if you see that and you keep thinking, okay, they're going to keep dropping their linebackers or they're going to drop at the end, I'm thinking scrambling. Well, now you're bringing 6 and the scrambling concept dies quickly.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to scramble when they're rushing there. So again, this is all being predicated off the fact that Patricia, every single down, is disguising his concept. And I don't know if this would have worked great last year because you had elite talent last year. When you have elite talent, see ball, hit ball.
Yeah.
Really clean. This year, you have talent, but again, just doesn't have the same experience as you had last year. So you have to throw that wrinkle of disguising, and it's working really well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to watch. It's only going to get better. I love what I'm seeing. And Troy, yeah, he's getting in on this. Liking seeing Patricia on the side. Didn't think that would work like that for him, but it works.
Go play back the tape when he got hired. I was real skeptical of it, but
yeah, you were.
I was, but and again, just hearing Chris Sims talk, what I loved is the fact that I forgot that Chris Sims was on the coaching staff in New England. But what he said in that interview was he took that year off from football to think about his why, and he said his why was, I want to go back to teaching. Like, I love football. I love teaching football, and you probably lose that. You have it as a D coordinator, but you get a well-oiled machine in New England. You probably lost that in Detroit. And
when you come to the head coaching position, you lose that entirely because you're just a manager of everyone else. And it'd be interesting to see how long he stays now. If that's his why, where does that take him?
Interesting. I thought about that too right away because the first thing I thought was maybe this guy sticks around for a second year. Maybe he is really intrigued about the teaching concept of it.
This is a good transition too. Hartline is in his third game of calling plays. You can have that 23 season. That wasn't him. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get better once he gets more comfortable.
But let me ask you this. Have you ever in the first 3 games stopped and said to yourself, bad play call? Or I question that play call? Because I haven't.
I've questioned a little bit of the play calls, and it's just alignment. It's alignment in the red zone yesterday. When you bring in those bunch formation in the red zone, they shouldn't be wide receivers. They shouldn't be. They should be your best blockers and the tight ends. I want to see that power. If you're gonna try to run in the red zone and you have 3 receivers blocking, when you're running out to the left hand side towards those wide receivers, they better be damn good blockers, and they showed that they weren't. Otherwise, why not have 2 more tight ends out there instead, being the lead blockers? If you're gonna play smash mouth football, play smash mouth football.
I'm sure Hartline will tighten up the wide receiver blocking. That is a critical component.
He better, because it was, their leaders on the team that were missing the blocks.
They will. I think, again, the red zone, this is where a little bit more creativity, but it was lack of execution. Lack of execution. Yeah. I will say, get rid of these one-on-one matchup concepts, the Tate, the Smith. Those are really
I like taking those shots. I think you have to take those shots on occasion. But
go watch the NFL, man. They don't even execute in the NFL on those one-on-one.
If you're taking those shots, though, if you're taking them, you have to be able to back that up with a good power running game if it doesn't work. And that's where it's not meshing. If you have to have that power running. So you have to be able to get 5 yards at the 9-yard line on that run. And then you take that shot, and then you got, another 5 yards to get on third down. If you get 3, then you're like, all right, it's 4th and 2. I can probably go for this.
But this is where you also question too, when let's say you have 1st and goal at the 8. I'm actually more inclined to throw the ball in a scenario like that than run the ball because, okay, let's say you run for 3-4 yards, 2nd goal at the 5 or 4. You've now shrunk that field from 18 yards to 14 yards. And then you run again, and it's now 3rd and goal in the 2, and you feel obligated to pass. You've now shrunk it from 18 yards to 12 yards.
Correct.
So to me, I actually like that 1st and goal at the 7, 8, 9, 10, throwing that football because you've given yourself more space to execute that.
I agree.
To me, you're not going to break off more often than not an 8-yard run at 1st and goal at the 8 for a touchdown or even a 7-yard run. It just they're expecting that.
And that's where I think
your advantage.
You need a different red zone mentality. What it is, you have to know based on your personnel. What your red zone mentality is it going to be? Is it going to be you have a package for Keen Holtz? Is it going to be that you want to play smash mouth football? Is it going to be, hey, I have wide receivers that are better than your DBs? Throw it up. Are we going to run crossing routes? I don't know. That's what they need to figure out, and they need to figure it out quick.
Well, this is what I'd like to see because you're seeing a lot of these flag routes, right? These twin wide receiver sets, flag routes. You got the slant and the flag. I don't need that as much. I would put Tate and Smith on the outside, have them exposed kind of on the boundaries, right? If we see a matchup or right or DB slips, throw it up to them right away. And then I would be attacking the middle with Claire, Kazmarek, the running game. I would be exposing that middle because they're going to be so hyper focused on Tate and Smith on the outside. We don't want to get burned in the corner. Make them cover all 53 yards.
Yeah.
And then attack the middle. And they haven't. They've been looking for these cute out routes, these cute flag routes, trying to isolate one-on-one, attack down the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is an unbelievable blocking tight end. Go back to that Oregon game, the Sunday morning after the Oregon game, we raved about his blocking.
Yep.
He was a catalyst in that game. And Kazmarek's a great blocking tight end too. Yep.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That
great
makes a big difference.
Thank you.
And I don't think there's some work to do for Max Clare as far as a blocking tight end. He is developing in that area, I should say. And just not used to it. I mean, he was used as a receiving tight end, and that's not the standard at Ohio State. So he'll get up there.
But again, I don't mind being critical about this kind of stuff. Yeah,
I love seeing Thurman.
We talked about this a lot last year, where he looks like an athletic Adonis. He's incredibly talented and incredibly athletic, but we never saw the catching aspect of his game come to fruition. So seeing that a little bit more this year is helpful. And just being 5 deep at tight end is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. And next year, it's still going to be pretty damn deep.
I mean, technically, Claire could come back. I don't know if he will. Yeah, but he could. But again, the being critical about this is, 13 days from now, you start Big Ten play.
Yep.
And 3 of your first 4 games are on the road. They haven't played a road game yet. So I think Washington again. I'm telling you right now, it is going to be a hyped environment. They've been dying for a game like this up here. Their offense is prolific. They have the Apple Cup next week, and Washington State is atrocious. I think they want to get revenge from last year. I think they're going to shred the Cougars, and I think they're going to come in 3-0 after beating their rival in Pullman. They're going to be sky high. This is their Super Bowl. Ohio State needs to be hyper-focused on this business trip in a couple weeks. It is going to be an intense game. Prepare yourselves. But then you come home against Minnesota. You got the ninth-ranked team in Illinois. They're probably going to move up to 8 because, in case y'all didn't watch it last night, Texas A&M probably put the dagger in Notre Dame's season, which was fantastic. And in Wisconsin, not a lot of talent. Got waxed by Alabama. Again, not fun to go to Madison and play. So we're being real critical here, but Ohio State has a pretty tough gauntlet the next 5 weeks with 4 games, 3 on the road. And you need to be sharpening that steel because Penn State's going to be coming to town.
Yeah. It's a good build up to Penn State, and we got another bye week before Penn State, don't we?
Yeah. So you have a bye week next week.
Nicely. Games like this are perfect going into the bye. They won. They have so much to work on instead of comfortable win. But they could get Big heads in the downtime. Yeah.
It's a great point by Troy, and that's where I think playing a team like Ohio was great. I'm glad that wasn't flipped where they played Ohio then Grambling, right? Because then you're playing a team that you're not getting a lot of context with. Ohio's a darn good football team.
Yeah, they are.
They really were. And I'll tell you what, that Adonis Williams, that linebacker for them, that tackle he made in that red zone. I mean, that was one of the greatest tackles I think I've ever seen. It was just flawless textbook. He leveled Donaldson. So I mean, there is a little bit of talent. Curious to see what would have happened in that game if Navarro played the full game. Could have been a little touch and go, but I like the fact that they were tested by a gritty team. And the fact is, they played this again in the pregame. They showed the Northern Illinois game. We all, as Buckeye fans, the last 15 years have seen games that were tighter than they should have been.
Yeah.
What I love about this team is, yes, this game was tight, but you never felt like they were going to lose this game, even when it was 13-9. And then they put the foot to the gas, which in previous years, this may have been a 7-point win.
Yep.
You won by 28. So that's the difference between this team and a lot of the teams of the past, is they realize it's a 60-minute game and they put their foot on the gas when they need to.
Yeah, everyone's agreeing with Troy on that.
Troy's spot on, man.
So let's talk about this a little bit. Watching the Buckeyes win and Clemson and Notre Dame lose makes for a great Saturday. When Clemson lost, I got to repost, and I thought it was awesome on Twitter. I was just like, you know what? Dabo, you have the best damn unrated team in the nation. Just going all the way back to that 2019.
There is just something – I watched a lot of that game. There is something fundamentally wrong with Clemson, and I cannot put my finger on it. You know, I understand the defensive side losing Venables. He was the stalwart there for their titles. I'd have to dig deeper on their OC side or what's going on there, because you look back at their run with Watson and Lawrence and great, you had elite quarterbacks. That's fine. Everyone is telling me Klubnik's a first-round draft pick. I'm seeing nothing from him. And you start to ask yourself, is it Klubnik? Is it the offense? Because you also realize they had DJ Uyunglele, 5-star quarterback. Guy never did anything there.
Yeah.
So the last 2 5-star quarterbacks they've had have done absolutely nothing. Are they duds, or is there something else going on at Clemson? And then Notre Dame, I wanted to tell myself that being 0-2, that's the dagger for them, but I think if
the
they
schedule that they have is atrocious. They don't play anyone left.
It doesn't matter. A 2-loss team can always squeak in, and you can make the argument, hey, we won 10 in a row. You know, we're clicking on all cylinders.
It depends on what happens with the rest of the field, because you don't have that conference championship to rely on, and you didn't beat any ranked teams. They have USC left. That's basically it.
And who knows what you're going to get from them.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe it won't be a ranked team. It hurts a little bit for Notre Dame just because it's Marcus Freeman, and you'd like to see him do well as a Buckeye. And, you know, who knows? You know what someone brought up yesterday? If Wisconsin loses, Luke gets fired. Larry Johnson retires. Who's our D-line coach next year?
Interesting.
Luke Fickell comes back to the shoe. That would be sweet.
Yeah. I have to say this with Wisconsin, though. They don't strike me as the type of program that's trigger happy on their coaches. I forget the Chris situation. That one was a little bit odd.
Yeah.
It's maybe because they had Alvarez there for so long that it's tinting my perspective on that. I'd love to see Fickell back. I'm sure everybody would. So
yeah, how Clemson isn't running through it with Garrett Riley there, no idea. Notre Dame is burning down to the ashes. The D was terrible and was supposed to be their strength. Jeremiah Love was looking good. They got him the touches he needed.
Such a weird. I only saw bits and parts of it. I saw most of fourth quarter. Yeah, it was one of those fluky type where, by and large, Notre Dame did a lot of right things. It was just a 3rd and 8 scramble for a first down. And even the touchdown, the guy was covered really well. Tight end made a great play. They got lucky because they actually returned the kickoff for a touchdown, but there was a penalty on it. It was just a very odd situation where, again, I think Notre Dame now has a better offense than they did last year, but I think to Troy's point that the defense has regressed.
I also think Mike Elko is a good coach.
He's a really good coach.
I think he's got Texas A&M right where he wants them.
I haven't flushed out Fisher yet, but Texas A&M is always just that highly ranked team with a lot of talent that has never elevated their program.
Yeah.
So curious to see if he's able to do that. But you're right, Elko is a great coach.
Yeah.
But this is where I think it's very interesting because by and large, you probably eliminated two teams that you thought were playoff teams yesterday in Notre Dame and Clemson. Now,
yeah.
Again, Clemson rattles off 9 straight, wins the ACC. Okay, they probably got it. But the way Miami is playing, the way Florida State is playing, I think Clemson's probably going to be out by and large.
Where does LSU fit in your top 5?
Good. I mean, Florida's got a lot of talent. Again, they never should have lost to USF. That was one of the craziest drives I've ever seen with a stupid penalty. And then an even stupider penalty was spitting on a player. They basically allowed them to get in the field goal range. But USF wasn't moving the ball on them at all. So that was a fluky loss. And then their schedule is just unreal. So I think maybe it's psychological now. LSU, I'm not sure because you barely beat Clemson, but that's not looking like as great of a win as it was.
Maybe Georgia Tech's better than we realized, though, too.
Georgia Tech's solid. You got to remember they pushed Georgia last year to 6 overtimes. I mean, so Georgia Tech. Did they
really push them to 6 overtimes? I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I remember it was a close game, but I didn't remember it.
Yeah, it was. Maybe 5, maybe 6. It was something like that. It was crazy amount of overtimes. But so you got that. But what you want to see now, by and large, is this big shakeup with the ACC and the SEC, and just have all these teams just beat up on each other. That's fine. Ohio State just take care of business.
So is there a chance Ohio State's not won today in a couple hours?
No, because.
Does Georgia have the best win in college football right now?
No, Ohio State has the best win in college football right now. You can't.
Well,
this is where you can't play the
away. It was away. It was at Tennessee.
What has Tennessee done? Is it 1998? Did I black out? I mean, this is again where you have to really start to parse out who's really great. And it's always going to be tough for us because, yes, ESPN has a vested interest in the SEC being elite. Let's get over it. It's business. It's not personal. So they're always going to overhype these teams. Tennessee's not done anything. They've had one playoff appearance in 15 years, and they got their doors blown off. Texas A&M never makes the playoff. Not a relevant team at the end of the season. So let's pump the brakes a little on the SEC. Georgia, nice win. But Tennessee crumbled. They were up 21-7 in that game. They were clicking on all cylinders. They fell flat in the second half. I don't think it's that great of a win. And still, technically, there's only one team in the country that's beaten a number 1 team this year. And you don't get to play this both ways where you're like, oh, Texas is 7th now. They're struggling. Maybe they aren't who they thought they were. No, when you beat them, they were the number 1 team in the country. So.
No, I think personally you go by what the team's ranked currently. You throw all that crap out the window where they were ranked when you beat them because it doesn't matter because the preseason polls crap, right? Everything, like, look at Clemson now. Do you get credit for beating Clemson, being a top 4 team? No, you should not.
It's a tough argument because psychologically, if somebody tells me I'm great, then I think I'm great. And that's what these preseason polls or early polls are. If somebody tells me I'm the 4th best team in the country, I carry that swagger and that confidence in that game. If somebody tells me I'm unranked and I'm 32nd, I carry that same swagger and confidence into a game. So I think it's really tough. But this is, again, that age-old argument of, well, you're ranked, so you come in with that bravado and confidence.
Nah,
maybe that propels you to a win.
Bullshit to me. It works itself out in the end. That part of it, the motivational factor. You don't get credit for a number one team if they're not number one anymore. To me, personally, how I want to rank it, I want to see things shifting. Is volatile.
But I think that's what's tough is you beat a number one team and then you say, well, they're not number one anymore. Well, they're not number one because you beat them.
8 overtimes. It was 8 overtimes, and Tech got screwed.
It was 8. I knew it was a lot. It was a lot. I remember that game because I got some family ties with Georgia, so I remember watching that game quite a bit. But and that's where it's tough. And I would love to see the committee. They've never really dug deep in that. Is the consistency around what does that matter? Does it matter what you're ranked at the time of the game, or does it matter what you're ranked in November, December? Because I think that's an important concept. Mm-hmm. And right now, I don't know what you're going to see. I would have to say, to be honest with you, probably the next best team in college football, Miami.
Yeah.
Miami's beaten Notre Dame, and Miami throttled USF, which, again, they kind of should. Mm-hmm. USF beat 2 ranked teams, so they're no slouch, and they throttled them. I wonder about Carson Beck. Again, I think he has a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. I think it's above the shoulders that you kind of question that a little bit. Georgia showed that they have some offense there as well, too.
I would have Georgia at 3.
The great unknown is Penn State, man. The great unknown.
Well, and also Oregon.
You're gonna flesh that out in 2 weeks. Oregon, Penn State. You're gonna see, because if you go back and watch the last 2 Penn State games, they've been atrocious in the first half against FIU and Villanova. The end score has not been indicative of what the first half. So it's starting to look like they're coming out a little sluggish in the first half, and maybe that's inferior opponents that they're doing that for. But they have had very weak first halves and then turned it on in the second half against inferior opponents. You try to pull that crap against Oregon, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But how about the fact that Oregon, high-powered offense, goes to the makeshift stadium in Evanston.
Yeah, that was
very pedestrian.
Uh-huh.
Now, there was massive thunderstorms all through the morning. They didn't delay the game, but the field was wet. We all know Evanston, even the makeshift Ryan Field, I'm sure that grass was 14 inches high because that's how they like to do it there. But I thought it was kind of funny where you think you're just going to come into these Big Ten stadiums and roll, and you realize it's a different animal out here.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it a big time blowout at halftime, and then they just didn't put more points on the board later?
No, it was 17-0 at halftime.
I gotta look at that. Oh yeah. All right, so it was pretty consistent.
They did put that. It was 31-0 at one point, but again, that's not a blowout by any means. And you saw that line. I thought that line at 20. It was in between 28 and 27 throughout, and I thought that was kind of odd given how Oregon has blown the doors off Oklahoma State and Montana State. I thought they were going to put up a lot of points, and Northwestern looked atrocious this year against Tulane. So and again, Oregon's always going to be the classic enigma. They're a great regular season team. You don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs. I really have no idea what that game in Happy Valley is going to be like, Oregon, Penn State, but you're going to find out a lot about both those teams, which are 2 of the 3 best teams in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see real quick. And maybe Oklahoma State was just terrible. Who knows?
They ran them off too. And anytime they run them out, they stick it to them.
Northwestern's 14 points were all in the fourth quarter.
I get it, but it's still not, even if it was 34-0, it's not a spectacular win.
This is a good point by Troy. Traveling all that way, it was still 9 a.m. for those kids.
10 a.m.
That contributed to the sluggish start.
10 a.m., and it's Chicago. I mean,
oh, yeah, because it's Central Time. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was odd, and again, this is where the maturation of a season. We always got to pump the brakes. We're always super excited to talk football early on. Texas looks atrocious still. They looked atrocious against San Jose State. They looked atrocious against UTEP. You have no idea if Manning starts clicking and turning that on, and that team looks okay today and looks elite 2 months from now. You're not going to really see this, and we don't. And I like the fact, I think you pointed this out quite a bit, that the first 3 games, there's been a lot of tape to coach and develop on with Ohio State.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest thing is you're winning. You won against Texas. That's all that matters. I don't care if it was 3-2. You win that game, move on. Grambling and Ohio, I think the film that you showed again, where they just missed blocks or they missed reads or mistakes, I think those are critical and those are going to help them grow and develop. But we don't want to see this team clicking until late November. Yeah. Just keep winning. Beat Illinois. I don't care what the score is. Beat Penn State. I don't care what the score is because it doesn't matter. Just put up the W's, get to Michigan week, clicking on all cylinders, and position yourself well for the playoffs.
Perfect. Hey, that's probably the best place to end because, I think it's time.
I stated
talk about Ohio all we can talk about anymore. We got the bye week. So we're not going to do a Sunday morning show next week because there's nothing to talk about Sunday morning. Probably do a little bit this week, Wednesday, at least have a show and start a little bit of a recap. And then next week we'll give a big recap or a big preview on Washington, on those Huskies up there in Seattle. Troy, like Doug said, you're bringing the facts, man. You got to join us in this locker room every Saturday after. Billy Tuesday, it was nice to have you back, man. You were bringing it too. So thank you all for joining the locker room and making it pleasurable. Like, subscribe, share anywhere that you can. Please help support us so we can keep this show going. Thank you all very much. Buckeye Backers are out. God bless.
Peace.